Dear everyone, welcome to our webinar trilogy today, European University for Everyone. In our events, we will discuss and reflect on diversity and gender equality. My name is Melih Özkardeş. I am the Ombudsman for Diversity and Gender Equality in the European Universities of Technology Alliance, which is called ENHANCE. The topic is not only relevant for our alliance. Diversity and gender equality are very important topics on the agenda of European universities, as you might know. The ENHANCE Alliance recently published in its first annual report on diversity and gender equality, which I will just share in the chat, and I will invite you also to have a look at that report, which is public after the event and in the next days, and share it also with your colleagues and friends and student fellows. In 3 lunch break events, we will take a deep dive into this report and reflect on how we can become a European university for everyone. As you can see here, we will focus in this webinar trilogy on 3 topics. How to mainstream diversity and gender equality was the discussion topic last week. And today's topic is how to empower underrepresented groups. And next week, the series will go on and we will discuss on how to train staff and students about diversity and gender issues. The webinars are public for everyone. You are welcome to ask questions or to make any comments today in the chat, and we will come back to them. Please stay muted during the event, and for your information, we will record this webinar for documentary regions. And please use speaker's view for the best event experience. Let's come to today's topic. How to empower underrepresented groups is the big topic hanging about us today. Especially, we will focus on students today. To discuss that topic, I am not alone, of course. I have invited 4 guests from the member universities of the ENHANCE Alliance today. And I warmly welcome Gabriela, Jan, Katrin, and Gisle today. First, we will get to know them now, one by one. So please let me start with Gabriela first. So Gabriela is a member of the ENHANCE Student Forum, which is one of the governmental bodies of our alliance, ENHANCE, and she is also a former co-president of the Students Forum. She left just that position just a couple of weeks ago, so very fresh. And she is, of course, also a student studying at one of the ENHANCE members universities, Warsaw University of Technology. Welcome, Gabriela. Nice to see you from Warsaw. And like all the other panelists, also I ask you to choose a symbolic picture about today's topic. And let me just share your picture with our public, which is this one here. And yeah, please tell us why you have chosen that picture.
Okay, so I would like to start with the explanation of 2 very important words in regards to our today's discussion. So those words are equality and equity. They are often used interchangeably, but they're quite different, to be honest. When using the word equal, it means that everyone is treated the same exact way, regardless of their needs or specific individual possibilities. So in here, the word equality is on the left-hand side picture. And equity, on the other hand, means that everyone is provided with all the necessary means to succeed. So this is the picture that you see on the right-hand side. I think that to empower underrepresented students, we need to remember that equal opportunities are not always enough. And we always have to take into account that some students may need especially tailored solutions to fit their needs to help them achieve all their goals.
Okay, thank you. So I will for sure come back to one of your sentences. Equal opportunities are not enough. So it's a very interesting one. We will come back to that for sure about that topic. Let me just stop screen sharing again and go to our next guest, Jan Kösters. He is also a student like Gabriela, and he works as equality representative of the Students' Union at RWTH Aachen University in Germany. Of course, he also brought a picture, to share with you as public, and let's see his picture and also hear his story on that. Welcome, Jan. Nice to see you also here, and here is your picture.
Yes, I choose a picture of my team. I work in the Equal Opportunities Project. My role is to be the male representative. We have a female and an anti-racism officer. So, and I thought it would be nice at first to show that I'm not working alone. I work in a team to manage equal opportunities on the student side. And this photo was taken in International Women's Day or International Women's Fight Day. And I thought you have to go outside. You have to be loud to go against the inequalities. And I think it would be it's nice to show that part of our work is also to sometimes stand on the street and scream against the norms and say it's not right what's happening. And I think it would also nice to have also the rainbow flag, and still as the rainbow that Gabriela had in the upper right corner, and also the Freeman purple flag in there. So it's like, it was a perfect photo to show all the ways my work connects.
Great, thank you. This shows me also the other aspect of our discussion today, students' involvement. And you just gave this example of going to the street, protest, and show also the bad sides and why we are not happy and so on to make things better. Thank you for that. So we will come back to this, of course, again. Thank you. Now I go to our third panelist. Her name is Katrin. Katrin is calling now from Berlin. She is strategy advisor and coordinator for diversity and gender equality at the Technical University of Berlin. Hello, Katrin. Also nice to see you here. And let me also show your picture with our public, which is this one.
Thank you, Mili. Hi, welcome everyone. Why have I chosen this picture? Do who you are is the claim, and I created it after an inspirational article I came across on personality development, a field which I have been working on in the past 10 years. And so I've chosen it because I'm convinced that the key to a more just and peaceful world is for every person to be able to connect to their authentic self. And meaning that is like to have access to your core needs, to your core wants, to your values, to your experiences, and even to the deeper essence of who you really are. And how does this connect to today's topic? In my point of view, it's one way to face the oppression based on social identity categories like sexism, racism, transgender oppression, classism, ableism, and all the other isms that are in the field, have their roots in the systems of patriarchy and colonial capitalism. And it's important to do empowerment on the individual and interpersonal level. So how does that work? In my point of view, it's really that discrimination affects people on all levels and with regard to their intersectionality. And it's traumatizing for people and very stressful. And neurobiology shows that in such a state, people cannot have access to their authentic selves. And to bridge this gap, really, I think is empowerment work. How can we all access our authentic selves and support each other in becoming more conscious and more supportive in being human, really, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. So do you who you are. So also nice claim. Thank you for this. And let me also come to our fourth speaker for today. Gisle is calling from Norway. He is advisor from the Disability Office at NTNU, which is also, again, one of the partner universities of Enhance Alliance. Welcome, Gisle. Nice to see you also here. And let me share also your picture with our public, which is maybe the picture with the most action for today. Please, what's your story behind it?
Yes. Thank you for the invitation to this important topic. This is a picture that I came across in a magazine or something a couple of years ago, and I keep it on my office wall as a sort of eye catcher. I don't know who that is. I don't know where it is, and I certainly don't know who took the picture. I just found it cool and also quite expressive. Of course, this is not exactly how I don't look at this as a recipe on how I think students in wheelchairs should move around on campus, but want to symbolize values such as inclusion and participation. I think that the picture also says something about where there is a will, there is a way. And if people can work together, it's almost impossible of what we can achieve together, how we can make the impossible actually possible. And of course that I myself like rock concerts also contributed to that. I love this picture so much.
So music as a tool for empowerment. So this will be another topic for another webinar, especially. But for me also, this is maybe a symbolic picture how empowerment could see. From your words, I understand that maybe as a symbolic explanation to this inclusion and helping each other. Maybe there is even also a little bit equity in this picture. I'm not sure what just Gabriela started to talk about. But so empowerment of underrepresented groups is the big topic for today, becoming a university for everyone. And let's first talk about the group we actually talk about today, underrepresented groups. So thank you, Gisle, again. And I was just, let's say, start the conversation with a question about who are the underrepresented students. And I think it's good to start to address this question to one of our student panelists today. Gabriel, I just look at you because you also talk about equity, and I know you are very active in enhanced studies, which I have just presented to you, and also in your local university, you are active on that topic. What would you say, who are the underrepresented students in your opinion?
Well, it's really hard to sum this up because there are a lot of underrepresented groups. I can say that the most typical one are women on technical universities. For example, at my own university, there is only 16% of women attending classes, even though the university is actually quite big, 30,000 students. So the percentage of women is quite small. But there are also first-generation students. That is a quite high percentage of them in our university too. There are students with disabilities. There are students of different sexual orientations. And yeah, to be honest, each and every one of us is different. So it's an entity of their own, right? So I don't think that all of us are underrepresented, because there are specific groups that actually are underrepresented. But I think that it's hard to generalize this topic.
It is also, if I may, just before we continue, to bring in my perspective, when we talk about underrepresented groups, you always also find the definition of the groups with fewer opportunities. And for my feeling, sometimes it is going into each other. Of course, we talk about underrepresented groups, like you said, in technical fields, women are officially and statistically underrepresented, but they don't have especially fewer opportunities. And then you can look at other groups, for example, students with disabilities, and they experience barriers. They have fewer opportunities to be at the same spot like the students without disabilities. And the groups are so mixed and diverse, it is of course impossible to generalize, like you say. We ask our public, who is here now, what they think, who are the underrepresented students. And let me just show you their results. And then let's see if we miss some people, I mean. For that, yeah, you can see it now. So who are the underrepresented students? It's a big list already here without checking if it is a complete list. Of course, European Union, for example, has a quite strategical, has identified some groups to focus on strategically, especially in mobility programs like Erasmus+. You can also read more about them if you want to find out more about the official groups which are defined as underrepresented or as groups with fewer opportunities. But our public told us, so they think female people, person of color, I just see here, disabled people, LGBTQ I see here, and it repeats also a couple of times, handicapped people is also coming back again. Students with financial problems I see here, migrants, low-income students, I see also here, ethnic minority students is also named here, and even international students are defined by our public as underrepresented students when it comes to mobility, especially. But again, like I say in the beginning, today, of course, we want to focus on underrepresentation in mobility, in European mobility, but basically this topic of underrepresentation, you can also find it without mobility also already in our universities when it comes to university activities. You have seen the list now. I'm just asking Katrin, do you miss someone from your daily working in Berlin, or these are the groups also you are dealing with, or what would you say? Or how is it your comment on that list? Are you surprised, or is it what you expected?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a wide range of social identities kind of that are placed here. It's really hard for me sometimes, you know, it's to know what student I'm dealing with, because not always like you know, it's not always that people approach me with and tell me who they are right away. So it's like, I would say I interact a lot with students, first generation students, also students with disabilities, low income students, international students as well. So it's like a wide range, but it's also it's a really important point. You don't always see intersectionalities in people. It's not like it's not a badge they wear, and it's also good that it's not like that. And but to bear this in mind is really important as well.
Absolutely. Gisle, what do you think? So you also work, of course, with, in your case, people with disabilities. So maybe this is something what you maybe easier see, or also not. So how is your experience maybe to this collection of the list? So disabled people are also named many times in this, or people with disabilities. Yeah, what would you say about that?
Yeah, I think that it's these descriptions are pretty much covers most of it, and I see that my group of students, if I should call them that, the disabled students, handicapped, student with disability, repeats itself here. And of course, I may be seeing this very much from my point of view, but I think that it's a big, maybe the biggest group, at least at our university, and different surveys show that it's increasing year by year, especially during the pandemic. Now we've seen that students that find themselves mentally challenged is increasing, so it's quite worrying. But I will also recognize the other descriptions here, and we find them all around our university as well.
And when we talk about, let's say, our target groups, so these are obviously very heterogeneous, different groups, which you could just see in this list. So the list of underrepresented groups are very long, and so we have to deal with these challenges on a very different way. We have to find different solutions to tackle with their needs, to solve their problems, so that they can also basically fully integrate into university as activities. You can name the mobility as one of the possibilities to get them integrated, to get them involved, but also all the other university activities. I just remember the picture of Gabriela she solved in the beginning with the equity idea. I look at Jan now. So what do you think, Jan? How successful are we currently at empowering these underrepresented students? So where would you rate us in this? So let's say, let's say 0 is we are very bad and 10 is we are doing it perfectly. Very nice, empowering them.
I mean, the first thing is who is us. If we go to enhance, or if we go European Union or universities, the answer would differ extremely. For example, if you go by the DRD in Germany, which I have talked with, they are trying. And in Europe, I would give it like middle grade. There are some groups who can travel freely and some groups who have extreme problems. And I think all around, I would give it like a passing grade, like a C+. It works, but there are some cases which get extremely complicated really quickly. For example, if you have a chronic illness, it depends if you have like, I have the term luxury illness sometimes. There are some illnesses where there are like scholarships, where there is help, where there are common knowledge on best practice. So for example, if you have stomach problems, so on, there are workarounds, universities, it works. So that could be like an A+ case. You can go there, everybody knows how to work with you. But for example, if you go with a student with panic attacks or social anxieties, those students are, depending on where they're going, they don't get any funding because most countries don't see that as in like medical problems or still, or you are under like disability barriers. So you have to have a specific amount of percentage of the disabilities to get funding. And this is extremely high. For example, if you have 2 disabilities which are partly impairing your normal life, only the highest one counts for your scholarship. So you are still really impaired, but you have multiple disabilities, but your scholarship says, no, you don't get any funding because your highest disability is just a bit impairing. So it really depends on which group and where they're coming from. And yeah.
Is it also a question about what I understand from your description now? Is this recognition of disabilities or chronic illnesses, is it a topic? Is it a kind of topic really being discussed when someone is going to another university? Yeah. And
I know the specific because I have talked with the German Erasmus director. I've talked multiple hours with him about how to change the system, how to get it easier for students with multiple but smaller impairments, which are still really big in combination to get scholarships. And yeah, it's hard. They're thinking about it and they're trying their best, but especially in Erasmus, talking about with more than 20 countries, it gets complicated to find a ground every country can agree on, because scholarships funding is per country, but the overall rules are European. So
okay. So now we have 4 speakers from 4 European countries now. So I just look at other panelists. What would you say to this, what Jan just commented with the recognition? Is it as an issue what you also observe in your environment, in your work at your universities? Recognition problems or any other issue related to this?
When it comes to financing the studies, I don't know how this is done around Europe, but in Norway there's a government-run loan fund for education that every student, no matter who you are or where you come from, is entitled to. And if you got a disability and you can't work in addition to your studies, because many students find that the loan is not enough for them to live the life that they want to as they study. But if you got a disability, the amount of what you get every month is higher. So it's you get some money because you probably don't have the time or the energy to work at the same time as you study.
I heard you already talking about money, so we will come to the financial aspects of this, let's say, empowerment issue also in a while, because I think this is also mentioned by the public in one of the next questions. But let me just go back to the initial question, which I just had. How successful are we currently at empowering these wide range of underrepresented students? And our public thinks something on clear something on this, and this is actually the result. How successful are we at empowering the underrepresented students, which we have just started this discussion. And yeah, the average is 3.7. You can see this like mountain-like graphic shows some thought almost totally fade. Some were a little bit more optimistic. This is the highest peak of the mountain, and somewhere in the middle, and the average is below 5, let's say. So it's more let's say place to optimize that, I would say. But what do you think when you see it? Are you surprised, or is it kind of matching with your reality, with the challenges you experience to empower them? So it's an open question. Who wants to say something to that?
I mean, it's basically is a grade I gave the system, so I'm quite happy.
You are quite happy. Why?
I mean, it's basically a middle field, so it represents what I experienced. For some, it's good, and for some, it's really bad.
That's why you also go to the streets, right? Sometimes to make this mountain peak more higher to the very successful.
Maybe one perspective is also that, like, with regards to empowering students, it's my experience is usually that when a single person looks out for consultation or support, they're being helped. But like systemically, there's a lot of barriers still to actually assess the needs and then to develop measures that are actually helpful to a lot. So, and this kind of plays into the question, because in my work, it's really, I can say sometimes I'm really successful at empowering people when they come to me and consult me, and I can help and, you know, activate resources in them or within my network and stuff. But then again, of course, there's a lot of students who either don't approach me or don't know all the I don't know, consultation, like my colleagues, all the consultation opportunities at TU Berlin, or they don't, and there's a lot of barriers still that the universities are set up structurally that they can empower people or the students, really. That's my work experience.
Thanks for this. I'm just changing the graphic because it's very clear to me. You talk about the barriers. So let's continue this because it matters now for my opinion. We ask again the public, and the ideas are about the barriers, the biggest barriers for going abroad. I mean, even it was not specifically asked about going abroad, but I am sure we can also comment these barriers also for other university activities next to going abroad. But yeah, they said language, they said finances, what just Gisle said is a barrier. Lack of support. I don't know if this is what you have just told, also kind of connected to that. Sometimes you can support, sometimes not, I'm not sure. Double cost, care responsibility. So I see, again, a wide range of possible barriers. Information is also have been named, money again, accessibility, and so on. So what are your thoughts, Catherine, when you see them? And also my other colleagues, please. But first, let's,
I see. It's my kind of favorite topic related to which are the barriers. It's resources, really. Be it financial resources that we can see here a lot, but also social resources, and in terms of lack of support, also family or care obligations, like how can I set up resources so other people or other like services can take over the care responsibilities I usually do in my daily life, and all these kind of things. So it's really to me, it's like, how can we empower people or students from underrepresented groups to go abroad is to activate resources within them, like to push confidence, and to look for ways how to access other resources like finances, to inform them about like the different scholarships or ways to finance a year abroad or a semester abroad, but also to deal with all the time that needs to put in to work to prepare the time abroad, which is like when I have a chronic illness or have care responsibilities or children, or have to work a lot because I need to finance my studies. It's also a resource of time, really, that I have to put in more than other students to make that possible to go abroad, really. That's my thoughts on it. Yeah.
Jan, what do you think about this when you represent the student side, of course, and you know the barriers probably on daily life of the students?
Yeah, I mean, lack of support is the first thing, whereas I think first generation students. So if your family can't understand why you need to go or want to go outside your country to get the experience, then how can you get support financially or emotional from them? So, and if you have family obligations, so you're basically tied down to your location. So how to get more flexibility? Flexibility is a privilege. So even if it's if you have disabilities or you don't have the money for it or the emotional or financial like capabilities of doing this. So, and then getting information, we have a lot of homepages and everything. I mean, information is a barrier here. So finding information and like getting there. I mean, first step I get in consultation is we have a lot of information online, but getting there, getting like the first step to going down hundreds of university pages, and it's hundreds, to find the information you need is a hard task. And if you already have all the other barriers in front of you, getting the information is really hard.
Is it also, what do you think, Gabriela, from your experience with the students, information difficulties?
Yeah, I completely agree with Jan. There's a lot of misinformation too. So that's a bigger, that's also a big issue here. I mean, it's really hard both to find proper information and an accurate one. So actually going abroad has a very high entry threshold. I mean, students can be very afraid of leaving their life behind and trying something completely new, and they don't know if they'll get enough support, the support they need at the place they're going to, even though they're interested. Actually the financial needs, the family support and so on, it's a big issue here. It's a big factor of them deciding not to go abroad.
And this is interesting that you say this. I mean, of course, I am busy with this topic in general. Also in Enhance, we are working with a whole work package on empowering these students to go abroad, to take more part at universities, right? And in several studies, when I just do some desk research, I found out 3 big topics. Of course, there are more, but the biggest topic is, like Gisle brought in the game now, finances. It plays a role. And it's very, maybe let's say factor number 1 exactly to decide if I can afford to go abroad or not. Sometimes people don't want to leave their part-time jobs, for example, if they go for 6 months for another country. And the second thing is also coming back in several resources I'm finding in internet, lack of information, like you actually also confirmed this to me. I don't know if there is a really big issue with misinformation, but it seems to be difficult accessible, good information, how it really works when someone from NTNU wants to come to another university, to Aachen, for example, or you can name thousands of other examples in that. And the third one is a kind of also it's not named by the public, but I read it a lot, peer support, or in general support by other students who did it, for example, who went up abroad, or other students like Jan or Gabriela, who are involved in different bodies and trying to make the structures better and so on. And so these are the three things I found always back and back about the barriers. And what would you say? What is the first barrier you would like to remove, Gisle? How is your daily working challenge life with this? What is the biggest barrier you experience in your work?
It's so many.
So many. And what would be like the puzzle piece you would really, yeah.
It's sort of in general, students with especially students with a disability, because it applies to all students, but especially to students with a disability, you will find that predictability is a key word. Knowing what they're going to, knowing who to contact, knowing how will my everyday life in this new university, in this new country be. And that is something I think that probably must be achievable during enhance and other arrangements. So I feel that students that I've spoken to that's going abroad, and it's of course it depends on the information as we've been into, but as I said, predictability, to create predictability, so that they know what they go to, they know who to contact. I think that's very important. And of course, financing is always there.
Exactly. But when you talk about predictability, is it again connected to this information aspect, that they have the information about what's going to happen and so on? Is it that aspect what you focus on, or is more?
Yeah, that includes information. But it's because they might be used to some arrangements at their home university, and they travel somewhere else to another university in another country, and those things don't apply anymore. And so I think we have to find ways to where we can somehow transfer between our universities how we work together, and this this system that we make for students with disability, which I work with, so that they sort of recognize what they come to, from what they came from.
What my question to you is, and actually to everyone who wants to answer to that, what can enhance change? What would you think on this? We have now this collaboration of 7 universities of technologies. We are working together, and we want to empower also underrepresented groups like discussed today. But what can enhance change? Where is the chance for?
It's been on the agenda for a while, I think, with student mobility, and also the focus on disability in this matter. And it's been a lot of nice words, it's been a lot of visions, and I think that if we can make that move into action somehow, and Enhance can help us do that, to actually get something done, more than the visions and the nice words, which are good, but something has to come after that. And hence maybe could that we now meet these universities, maybe there's a chance that we might actually get something done. More than the words.
Get something done in terms of like also to see that this mobility is happening, and more underrepresented groups are taking part in it, so they are less underrepresented in a way. Is it something which tell us that it works, or what? How do we see that our work is really working, our work is successful? So how do you see it in your daily topic, working with students with disabilities? How do you know that your work is really empowering them?
Well, we sort of we don't have statistics for everything. We don't, but we collect good stories,
Good stories. Okay.
Good stories with happy endings. And we do have them. Not always. It could be challenging, it could be hard, but we have these good stories with happy endings, and we use them in our everyday work.
They work. Yeah, good stories.
And if we across universities could share those stories,
yeah,
because I know that there's also in all other new universities.
Yeah, it's nice that you talk about stories now. I will just now name 3 concrete things we are working on now in enhanced setting. And so let's also have a discussion if it's enough or what you think of it, also others. And yeah, the first thing is currently we are working on testimonial videos and a campaign. Social media campaign is gonna come in a couple of months where we want to share good stories of students from the defined underrepresented groups. They will share with us their mobility experiences within enhanced universities or maybe some other universities even. So this is one thing, that campaign we are currently working on, and we hope that this campaign will address exactly the target groups, underrepresented students, and hopefully encourage them to go for it. And the second thing is we are currently working on is a more specific thing. It is less connected to mobility, but it is more connected to the topic what Gabriela brought in, underrepresented women in technical studies. And I have just shared the link of our STEM competition among the enhanced universities, 7 universities, 6 countries. And so basically a girl between 16 and 19 years old can take part at this competition, and then can find out more about the STEM studies. And hopefully at the end, they will also start a study so that they become more and more, because they are underrepresented. And the last thing is a kind of maybe combination of what Kadrin brought in with information, lack of support sometimes. And I think in your speeches also, it was a little bit the case. I don't have a link for it yet, but we are currently actually working on an, let's say, readers-friendly page, sub-page on our Alliance's homepage, to collect all this information and the right contact persons for different groups from the underrepresented groups, obviously. For example, that you see a blog about students with disabilities, and they can easily find out their contact persons, go-to persons, or needed information about their questions. Maybe they will see even your name, Gisle, on this list when we make and publish that page, when someone is interested to go to NTNU and then wants to know, hey, who is the contact person there, who knows? So these are 3 concrete examples. I don't know how this sounds to you in general. Do you think this kind of things can make a change, or would you say, yeah, we need maybe more or some other approach to empower them and to inform them better?
I think informational campaign is a great starting point, because a lot of students may be afraid of even starting to dream about going abroad. So those positive experiences, those good stories, may be just a good start. So I think that that's a good task that we can do. And the other competition that we're organizing for girls is also a very important one, because when it comes to the issue of underrepresentation of women in the STEM studies, it's starting at early years of life. I mean, girls are not encouraged to do the technical studies, to be interested in the technical fields because it's not girly. So if we go to high schools, if we go to middle schools or even preschools, we start encouraging girls to actually think about something different, something that is not so stereotypical. I think we can achieve a goal not in 2 years, not in 1 year, but in the long run.
Obviously, yes. And just because we talk about different ideas or concrete actions, like Gisle name it, in the final report, in the annual report of Enhance. It's not the final report, it's the annual report on diversity and gender equality. So again, I invite everyone just to look into, because we have actually quite a long list of different activities which the Enhance universities currently doing. And these are different from each other. You can look at the activities of the universities which are represented now in this round, but of course we have 7 members in total, so you can actually see a whole list. I know, for example, for different underrepresented groups amongst them, especially for girls, NTNU is working a lot with social media campaigns, what I have found out in the last months. So you are doing actually lots of social media work, I think. And so just to name one of the examples, basically, but you can also find more. What is Berlin doing, what is Warsaw doing, and Aachen is, of course, doing from today's round. And I want to come to, let's say, last block of a topic we did not really discuss a lot. And I think it's also very important, because I see it coming back and back. Let's say the role of the students who are not underrepresented. Yeah, so the majority of students without disabilities or without any other characteristics which you have just seen in the public's opinion graphic and so on. So what do you think, Jan? I address this to you first, because you are a student which is active, going to the street, getting engaged to support the underrepresented. So what kind of role do these students have that are not underrepresented? What can are they game changer, maybe even?
Yes, the first thing is to share positive vibes of going abroad. So you talked about the third like barrier is like peer support. If you're especially first generation, you have no feeling what is going abroad like. So hearing all the information in the university or so on, that's theoretical information. That's not really motivating to go outside and go abroad. You know, there's better job chances or higher, like you get something universal out of it. But to feel that there's a need to go outside or as a benefit, you have to talk to peers who were already abroad to see what they like, because some people are motivated by seeing different laboratories or feeling another teaching style to see, oh yeah, that works for me. I've never thought about going to on this topic on this direction. For example, the teaching styles between Sweden, Norway, and Germany is in multiple disciplines completely different. So there's a big chance to go abroad and see this. But finding out that like these nuances which couldn't motivate you is more broad about hearing stories of students. As like a comment, somebody said, oh yeah, I found like my favorite student bar to talk to students there, and it's like, oh yeah, I want to see how student life can be in other countries to bring it back here. So there should some people just want to be like have a cultural exchange, some was universal exchange. And the first step always should be just to give like a feeling of the students who were abroad, what's out there, especially, and also for like if you are already deeper in your studies, to tutor students, like, oh yeah, this form is really annoying, but and the university always forgets you have to fill it out, and just here, right, go there. Or if you have like special universities, oh yeah, that's in our field, this course is not really advertised on their homepage, go there. So there's a lot of knowledge that's already in the student body, which have to be, and the other is to feel like it's normal for you to go outside, especially as a student, as a queer student, or as a disabled student, or somebody with care responsibilities. It doesn't feel normal to go outside of your like bubble to go in another country. You don't know if it feels safe. For example, students in Ukraine realize if you're black, you can't leave the country now. So there are some topics where the other people have to step up and, for example, say, yeah, it's normal for you to be here. Welcome. Like a welcoming culture has to be there. And you have to like say it often. Some things are really like in our heads are normal, but we have to say them out loud, especially as a privileged one, to say, yeah, you're welcome here. We want you here. for technical universities to say, yeah, of course, it's normal for females to go in like engineering, but it's also, yes, of course, you can come here with a wheelchair, or yes, of course, if you're like an sign language translator. So there has to come like a welcoming feeling for you to know that you can go.
Okay, so also a good point. I would say welcoming feeling, maybe to be kind of ambassador, even maybe role model or supportive person, what I hear you saying now. Okay, thank you. And other comments on that?
Yeah, I would add being an ally, really,
yeah.
And check your privileges and think about how can you use your privilege for the good of other people, and how can you lift them up, and how can you empower them. And the more privileges you have, the more you can use your all the privileges you have for others. Like, you know, share your knowledge, share your time, share your resources that you have more than other people. And yeah, that's one start, I think.
Looking at the time, I think it's also good that we discuss about that aspect of the majority of the privileged ones, and we will not forget that topic, of course, because on Enhance we are also working on concepts to reach them, maybe to activate them, privileged students as well. And looking at the time again, I will just try to come up with some questions or comments I just found now in the chat. Let's see how we deal with them. For example, one of the comments or questions is personal experience is not transferable, even via social media. I think maybe it's a reaction to our idea with the campaign. What about relying on old-fashioned concept of valuing and highlighting the basic human values in mobility promotion? So comment/question. What are your thoughts on that? Anyone who wants to react? It's a good topic, I would say. Any ideas, Catherine?
Yeah, I think it's not mutually exclusive. I think both are valid and valuable. And I see the point that it's, of course, the personal experience is not transferable in the sense of that I can directly use the direct experience from the other person because it may differ from mine. Though also it's more about role modeling and seeing and expanding my mind that it's possible to be able to go abroad and learn what kind of steps have the other people put in place to make it possible to go abroad. And of course that may differ from my experience. It might not be exactly my path, but maybe I learned even if I learned just a tiny bit for myself, I would think it's valuable. And also, of course, like, you know, the values, basic human values and mobility, I think that's also a very important point. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else who wants to add to that aspect? No, then we can let it stay here. And we will take also all these comments and questions, of course, also with us for our further work, I can already tell you. And the next comment I see here, or a question maybe, it would be nice to find out what kind of information is missing in particular. Yeah, especially we talk about information, lack of information. I just, of course, remember. Because in my point of view, the internet is full of information on how to go abroad, exactly, and whom to contact for further counseling and assistance. However, something seems to be missing for the target group. Wow, it's a good question or comment. Something seems to be missing. What is that something? Who thinks of it? Maybe from our student panelists. What do you think? Information is actually there. It's been said now.
The first question is where to find the information. I mean,
yeah.
University homepages are like stereotypically interesting to find. I mean, our university page, the main joke in the student union is use Google to find something on the university page, because university the way the university page is structured is not like if you worked in university for years, you know where to find stuff, and people who put the information there know where to find it. But the students who firstly encounter such pages have like basically no idea where to find stuff, and sometimes it's in really obscure places, or it's deep on a faculty page. So the first thing is always to have a centralized page to just, I want to go to abroad, and then the rest. And the other is how old the information is. This is the most important information on anything going abroad. If there's not a timestamp when the information is made, it's worthless, because the information is changing so fast and students get so frightened from this information. When can I trust it? And the misinformation is not often meant wrong, but it got old.
Okay, good aspect. I even had to say we need maybe a good navigation to that information which is there. Maybe the navigation is the missing part, but I'm not sure if it is. We will discuss on that further. But because of the time, thanks, Jan. I would stay or leave that question now and see it as answered, hopefully as good as possible. And I have the last question, and then after that we will actually come a little bit to the closing part of the webinar. Question especially to Gabriela, but also please others feel free to make a statement. Why do you think only 16% of students are female ones? Thanks in advance. I missed that part. So Gabriela, yeah.
Yeah, I started with that at the beginning of the discussion about how female are underrepresented. Those are the actual data from the year 2019. The end of the year. Yeah, exactly. Okay. There has been a survey based on the student status of the students and the gender of those students. Okay. And the results of those surveys were that only 16% of students are female. Yeah.
By the way, thanks for that. You can also find out how is the female population in enhanced universities in the annual report, which I just presented also in the beginning. So we have documented this also as well there, and you will see differences. I can already do a spoiler on that. Okay, I have one more last thing. I want to close down after that and give the speakers for a short final statement on today's discussion. Because Gisle especially brought it in the discussion, and actually we also discussed about actions. And now this is maybe a fourth chance for everyone, especially for the ones, actually only for the ones now listening and watching us from the enhanced community. So if you are a member of one of the enhanced community universities, you can take part at this enhanced challenge. And especially one of the two topics is especially interesting for today's discussion. Actually, it's all about today's discussion. It's about diversity and inclusion of students, especially how to include them better. And we are looking for good ideas. We are looking for good ideas to tackle that topic. And then I will just share also the link about this enhanced challenge and invite enhanced members, students or staff, doesn't matter, to take part at this challenge. And of course, information can be read here on this link in the chat. So it's an invitation to get active, to help underrepresented groups or groups with fewer opportunities. Having said that, I look at my guests. Gabriela, can I start please with you? What is your final statement about today's discussion? A short one, please, and then we make a round.
Sure. So I would like to summarize everything also with connection to the first picture that was shown. So as I said before about the equality and equity, I think that our role as future European university is to actually gradually cause all the systemic barriers to be removed, create a truly accessible European university. And by that, I mean removing the fence that was there at the picture.
Exactly. Thank you. Jan, what do you say? What is your final statement?
You should always remember that underrepresented group has the main, you always forget someone. So there's always a group you're not thinking of. So I think you should always keep in mind there's always a barrier you're forgetting, or you can find, or there's a group you're forgetting, or you can find. So you should always be open to, oh yeah, I forgot to think about those students. So you should always be open that there could be a group you're forgetting.
Thank you. Gisle, can I please have also your final statement, please?
Yeah, I'll make it short. Like I've been saying before, I think I would like to emphasize the importance of collaboration and to work at common and mutual guidelines for our universities. A student from Milan going to Gothenburg, or a student from Warsaw going to Trondheim should recognize how we include all students and make it possible for them not only to study but to travel and socialize abroad. A bit again recognizable and create this predictability.
Thank you, Gisle. And Katrin, you have the final word, final statement, please, short one.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to refer to one of Jan's points, which was a welcoming culture. And really, I think it's a question of facilitating a space of belonging so that everyone feels welcome, and bearing all the barriers in mind and trying to overcome them and help like build structures so everyone is welcome.
Everyone is welcome. It's a good, nice sentence, I would say. Thank you a lot, everyone. Again, and it was a very interesting discussion for me. I also found out new aspects, and I hope the same also for you, of course, that you can get some input or some inspiration or some critical points from the topics that we have just discussed. And just let me close by saying this is a webinar trilogy. So today it was the second topic, how to empower underrepresented groups. Next week we have a last one, how to train staff and students about diversity issues, a totally different topic. But again, we think it belongs to the big question, how can we become a European university for everyone? Thanks to the panelists and to all the people listening and watching us today. And I wish you a great lunch break and see you soon, hopefully again. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.